Hello everybody and welcome to this, another edition of a late night screen review. This week we're talking about Clown in a Cornfield. I can't breathe. Not worth it.
It's time to sweeten the day with the marvel of Bay Pen bran corn syrup. That's right, a little drop of Bay Pen makes everything better. Just take it from Friendo.
Hey, check it out, it's Friendo!
So, Clown in a Cornfield is directed by Eli Craig and is in all major theatres now, nationally. Yeah, it's out. So, what's the story? Why do I sound like the Joker from the Batman animated TV show? So, Clown in the Cornfield tells the story of Quinn. Quinn's a teenage girl, down and out, because obviously her mother's died. Because of course she has. And her father is trying to make the best of it, but not doing very well, because of course he isn't. He decides to move them both to a whole new town to start afresh after the death of the mother. He's the town doctor, and she is trying to make the best of things. She makes friends with the wrong crowd of kids, and ends up becoming part of a kind of like weird YouTube gang. Because I guess that's what the kind of youth do these days. Instead of kind of like, you know, stealing and smashing shops up, they make YouTube videos. Oh, you damn kids. And the clown pays them a little visit. And that's basically the story. So what did I think of the movie? Why do I sound like Toast of the Crypt? So yeah, it was an interesting one. I've obviously seen the trailer a few times, and what I really want to do, I went through an emotional kind of roller coaster on this one, weirdly, and I didn't really expect to. Yeah, I wanted to come on and say, hey, Clown in the Cornfield, it does what it says on the tin, except it doesn't, and it kind of subverts your expectations. Now, here's the thing: is subverting your expectations meaning it makes a good story? I often find not so much. I think you have to do it well, and you have to set a lot of things up, and I think it's actually a lot harder to subvert people's expectations in a satisfying way. I would always argue, let's just stick to the formula and make it really good, as opposed to kind of subverting expectations and making it really not very good. Now, that's not what I'm saying Clown in the Cornfield is. It's a complicated one, and it shouldn't be. It should be straightforward. It should be, hey, everything the trailer shows you. There's kids in a small town, cornfields, there's a killer clown on the loose named Funzo, whatever his name is. I can't even remember now. And he kills them one by one in fun and in hilarious ways. There might be a red herring or two. There might be, it was Old Man Withers the whole time. You could make it funny, make it more of a pastiche. This film did not do that. And I think if you watch the trailer, it's actually quite a big fib. Like, they lied to us. It's not that kind of a movie at all. And I would argue to say it's not very funny, although I think it's supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be a horror comedy. And for me, it just didn't land right. Now, there were things that I really enjoyed about this movie. The first preamble of the movie, it's a cold opener. It starts with... way back in the past, in the 1990s. Kids get killed at a party by a clown. Cut to the present day, and the girl's driving into her new town. It's that setup. If you're a horror fan, you've seen this kind of setup 1,000 times before. Again, not necessarily a bad thing, because you can do the same story, but fresh, new, different. Just do it well. Just do it in a good way. That's good enough for me, really. So regardless of that, it goes on, and it kind of feels very, it's kind of an homage to 90s and 80s horror. They're doing the small town thing, everything that we've just talked about, the setup. It feels very much like a la Scream, kids being picked off one by one by a mass killer. Very Friday the 13th, inspired by a bunch of old horror tropes that we've seen before. So great, that's brilliant. Throw in some comedy, make the characters likeable, and we feel for them, and you've got a film. And as I say, if the film stuck to the formula that it was laying out in the trailer, we'd have been brilliant. And the film does. For the first half of the movie, it seems to kind of go along at that pace. There are red herrings, there's some dodgy characters like, ooh, could they be the killer? There's some pleasant characters. There's the bad kids, but are they really that bad? They're kind of nice, but they just don't really like the small town. And the parents all love tradition and the annual corn festival, and the mayor of the town is very proud of all that, whilst the son of the mayor isn't that bothered, etc., etc., etc. And this film is very much the old generation versus the new generation. And I was enjoying it. I thought the main character of Quinn, played by Katie Douglas, was fine. I'd like to have been a little bit more fleshed out. I kind of would have liked to seen her be a little bit kinder. She's kind of played in a very realistic way, but in terms of it, so you can't really grasp us. Is she particularly nice, or is she jaded? Where is she coming from? As with most people in real life, people are a lot more nuanced. You can't put everybody in a box, and I understand that. But I would have liked to, again, have put her more in a kind of box where I go, oh no, I like her, she's likeable, she's a nice character. But she turns out, you know, she's like a normal person. She's got some bad sides and some good sides and this, that and the other. It makes it slightly hard to root for her, though, because there's not a lot of sympathy there for her particularly. And I think the filmmakers were trying to make her more realistic, and that's an admirable goal. But again, for this type of movie, again, you just kind of need your basic grappling points. Or at least I do. Because that's what that's what the trailer set the film up for. That's what I was going in for. To then argue and say, well, the film's a lot more nuanced than that. That's where the film lets itself down. Because I think that's what the film is going for. It's going for more nuance. The goodness and badness in both sides of the argument, from the young generation to the new, tradition versus progression, all that stuff, parents versus children, you know, the dynamics. And the film does play with those formulas. But then you're kind of thinking, I thought I was just coming in to watch a killer clown movie. So while that stuff is nice to have in the background, I don't necessarily think it's appropriate or interesting to play with it in the foreground of the movie, if that makes sense. Like making it the main theme of the movie. Let's just get to some good old-fashioned killing. There are some cool deaths. They're pretty much cut away for the vast majority. But there are some, you know, cool, like, you know, impalements, guttings, etc. Obviously not done for full gore, because it is like a 15 in the UK anyway. It's a rated 15. So it's very mild on the gore, but it is there. There is a subversion of the expectation. I'll set up one of the scenes that the new girl has fallen in with these kind of like this rough gang of the town who do YouTube videos and put them on. They do like pranks, and they do like horror pranks and all that kind of stuff. And they go out into the public and bother people and things like that. And she falls in with this crowd. She falls in love with the main guy, and they're all hanging out drinking. There's this big party in a barn, and the killer clown shows up and kills someone. And then one of the students, and this is a minor spoiler, but very minor, one of the students gets the upper hand on the clown and shoots him. Now, shoots him dead? Well, you're gonna have to watch the movie. But at that point in the movie, the tables turn and the subversion of the movie and the genre happens. Now, you're either down for that, or you kind of get a bit deflated and go, oh, I kind of just wanted it to be a clown, a singular killer, maybe two killers, a la Scream. Here's the character. He's got a name. I'm going to look the name up because I can't remember the name. The name of the clown is Friendo. I don't know why I was thinking Fungo, but it's Friendo. Friendo the clown. Don't F with Friendo. That's the whole thing of the trailer. So you think, oh, Friendo, he's going to be this clown character, a la Pennywise. And Art the Clown, he's another horror clown icon. He's going to have a full character, backstory, all this stuff. And that does not happen in this movie. Friendo is not a character. It's more of a symbol, like Batman. And I found that to be disappointing. I wanted somebody to have the kind of, I guess, the balls to try and make a fresh new character with a mythology and a backstory. Now, the character of the symbol of Friendo, should I say, is woven within the town structure. But again, it's linked in with the tradition of the town and all those kind of themes that I was talking about earlier. So you're either into that concept, or you're kind of a bit disappointed by it. And I was somewhere in the middle. I was a bit like, oh, okay, it's not this, it's this. And I kind of went with it. And again, the film is well shot. The characters are okay. Like, they're fine. They're nuanced. They're somewhat interesting. And so I was going along with it. I was kind of happy to see what was going on. But then it turned into like, the film started to fall apart for some reason. And I couldn't really put my finger on why. I think it was the writing, because the dialogue started to show itself when people were in like crisis mode, and then the kind of story, what was actually happening in this town, was unveiling. I found it to be a little bit of a disappointment. But then I also found like the dramatic delivery of the dialogue to be very flat and odd. I'll give you another quick example. Towards the end of the movie, a lot of the male characters for some reason kind of surround the female character and kind of big her up and go, you know, you're so strong, you're the best of us, you know, you're this, you're that, you can take the world, you can do anything. And again, I'm very much female empowerment. I love it. I loved that in Dangerous Animals from the last review. But when it's just kind of ham-fisted and really badly written, it really just makes you roll your eyes and groan, to the same point that actually some of the members of the audience were groaning when they heard the same dialogue. And I think it was just the way it was it was the way it was written. It just wasn't written very well. And I just found it to be very off-putting. The actions of the bad guys, or towards the end of the movie, are very odd and very stupid. And I don't know if it's kind of ramming home that the older generation are dumb. Again, because the film was trying to do quite big themes, I felt that was a little kind of insulting towards the older audience and older generations that are actually watching the movie. Maybe I was looking too much into it. But the characters are the bad guys are very dumb towards the end. And there's a lot of the ways that they get killed and stuff that just are stupid and just make you go, oh, really? Seriously? So the last act of the film really falls apart for me. So I think if you're going into to see this film and wanting to see a really cool character, a new horror character, and a slasher character villain with a cool voice and music and like a backstory, you're going to be really disappointed with Clown in the Cornfield. That is not what this film is. It's trying to tell, I think, a bigger story. I think in some ways successfully, but in other ways it lets itself down, especially towards the last act of the movie, and the themes just don't work out with the characters, in my opinion. It just all falls apart. It's well shot, it's well acted, the score's really cool, the death sequences are really good. You're just not going to get a straightforward slasher movie, and you're either with that or you're not with that. So this for me is a meh film, and I hate giving that kind of a review because it's not much of a review, but it's a very mid-range film for me. I don't highly recommend it, but I didn't hate the movie. It's just a kind of yeah, it depends what you're expecting. So that's my review for Clown in the Cornfield. Sorry it wasn't more positive. I was hoping for more, or maybe I was hoping for less, technically. You be the judge. But until next week, guys, stay safe, stay scared, and we'll speak to you soon. Bye.